Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome in, everyone, to today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jake Milham, joined today by my lovely co-host, Greco, back in their home base, their home apartment after many moons away on the road. Jeremy, how's it feel to be back?
Yes, it's so quiet here compared to my parents' house with the many dogs and many people. And my mom has this thing, which is the opposite of my things, which is she has to have noise at all times. So she likes to do a morning YouTube step workout, and then she'll just let a playlist play for the rest of the day on her bedroom TV, which is right underneath my room. So all day I can hear this exercise playlist, and I'm just sitting there like, "You're not exercising. Why?" And she's like, "I need the noise." And I'm like, "No, not the noise."
We don't need the noise. Need is a strong word, but alas, some folks feel like they need it.
She's not even in there. She's in other rooms.
Yeah, I go back and forth on it, right? Like I got YouTube. I get like the free kind of limited ad function on YouTube, which is just YouTube from 10 years ago, basically, but you still have to pay money for it now. And it's okay, I'll toss on like one of the long music videos just for something in the background. Usually, like if I'm actually like sitting down trying to do something, now I find that way too overstimulating. Like now I'm just getting distracted by it. I used to need it to focus. Now it's the opposite. I think that's what happens when you go on ADHD meds. All the things you've been self-medicating with or self-regulating with don't really hit the same after a while.
That's my understanding. I've never medicated myself, so I just keep inventing new coping algorithms.
Coping algorithms is a good way to put it.
I like to think of myself as a robot sometimes.
Well, we like to think of baseball players as robots as well, Jeremy.
Yeah, we do.
And it is I love numbers. Everyone here knows I love numbers as much as the next guy. But man, these guys ain't robots. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of baseball, let's talk about the human side of it a little bit. We got a lot of people to talk about on today's episode. A newcomer to the Royals organization, both on the major league level and a minor leaguer shining in their first league week in Omaha. Plus, one of the 2026 draftees getting a couple of firsts out of the way in strong fashion. Talk about a couple of standout performances from this past weekend series against the Chicago Cubs. And we would be remiss if we did not start off with Royals owner John Sherman talking to Josh Vernier of 96.5 The Fan, excuse me.
Need
Start
ya.
off today. What'd you say?
Need ya.
Need ya. Yeah. It was an interesting conversation to listen to, but
I genuinely did find it interesting.
you did?
I did.
Well, let's go and jump right into it then, because let's be honest, folks are listening. They already know RoyalsReview.com. That's the best place to stay informed on all things Royals. I love what Vern does over on the radio side, but RoyalsReview.com is better for staying informed on the Royals, transactions, and the fan voices down in the comment section and the feed as always. Jeremy, so it was about a 20-minute interview with Vern. Sounded pre-recorded, I would say. I don't think it was live.
It was not.
What do you think about it? I got mixed feelings coming away from it.
The big thing that stood out to me, and as a positive, fortunately, was that John Sherman seemed fully cognizant of just how much work the team has to do to take the current roster and make it competitive in 2027. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said, yeah, we basically need an entire new bullpen. Hopefully we're finding some of those guys right now. We're going to need some starting pitching. We'll get some guys back midseason, but we're going to need some guys to get there. And that made me a little concerned. Like, just don't even count on those guys. You don't know when they're coming back. You don't know what they're going to look like when they're coming back. Anything they give you next year is a huge bonus. If Cole Reagans pitches next year and he pitches well, I will be so excited about it, but I'm not counting on it at any point, and I don't think the Royals should either. He even admitted they might need to add a bat, despite the fact that the outfield has been relatively productive this year. So that was the biggest takeaway I had. There was a lot of other stuff that they talked about. It was like a 25-minute conversation. And, some of it but that was the thing that stood out to me. What stood out to you, Jacob?
Well, so just touching on some of the things you already talked about. The outfield was one of the things that he, I would say, praised first and foremost, saying
As he
the
should.
outfield. Yeah, absolutely. Like he's not wrong to say the outfield has gotten more productive, but he did say, "quote still more work to do there." So I'm glad to hear that. Focused a lot on the bullpen and the rotation. Hey, one of my big takeaways from this is I don't know how much they're going to invest in singular people in the bullpen after this season. Strom he talked about Strom and Estevez taking up a good chunk of the payroll, as he put it, and we haven't gotten anything from him. So he's like, yeah, that really didn't work out, and we're kind of cobbling it together. That was the phrase that he used, and he's not wrong. We'll talk about some of that cobbling going on right
Mhm.
now later on in the show. I really He said, I will always believe it when I see it, that they will invest some more money into the rotation. And like that's a need right now. Like that is the only way that this team is going to be competitive in 2027. He said that they would compete again in 27 if they were healthy. Well, here's the reality. They're not going into 27 healthy. They're
And
going
you can never assume health with a baseball team. You have to
absolutely not.
assume you're going to lose players to injury, and you have to have people to step into those roles, not just go, well, if everyone's healthy, we'll compete, and if not, we'll blame injuries again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not competent management of a baseball team.
No, no. The infield sounds pretty set in his mind outside of second base. He's talking about Michael, Vinny, Bobby, Carter, and Cags there. Not talking about Michael Massey. Not talking about bringing Jonathan India back for another run at it in 2027. One thing that I'm going to pull some data this evening. He did say this was the highest sustained level of spending in franchise history, which I'm sure raw numbers, right? That's what it comes out to. I'm curious how that actually spans going back to average payrolls and things like that. Vern did this is a line I'm going to toe because I saw some reactions to this from fans, and I don't think that fans are wrong by calling some of these questions framed as softballs, right? Like
I
they're
think we've
very
pretty
soft
well
questions.
established at this point that Josh Vernier is a company guy. He may
Yeah,
not work for the Royals, but he does what the Royals want him to do.
yeah, exactly. And that is there's half of me that's like, hey, that's just the nature of the business. You gotta play ball to get the ball.
Tell that to the
And
New York media.
right, right. And that's where I would love Kansas City media to be at that point. Like I would love to be there, but the reality is don't have the number of outlets, don't have the money focused on Kansas City sports the same way that we have focus on New York franchises. Vern did toss out there like, hey, there is pressure on this front office right now. There's a lot of folks calling for heads after this season. And Sherman kind of gave a lukewarm response to that, like, "Oh, Vern, the pressure's always there. We're in a results based business and things like that." And I get it. You don't want to say too much because you're talking to JJ Piccolo and all these guys. Those are the guys you're seeing more often than individual fans calling for jobs, right? I do think that was a little soft of an answer in my mind.
To see, I would categorize that as an artful response
It was very
more than a
political.
soft response. Very, very political, very I'm not gonna say one way or the other. I tell you what, whoever taught John Sherman to public speak or whoever prepares him to speak publicly does a really good job because he also got asked, what are some of the difficulties, what are there more difficult days or more joyful days trying to build the new stadium? And he said, "Oh, they're all difficult. They're all joyful." And it's very like, I'm not going to give you ammunition to shoot me down. And so he can't say it's always a mistake, I think, when owners or general managers or whoever says, "I have full faith in so and so," because then you're like, well, then he's definitely not firing him. Or in a lot of cases, you go, okay, he's pretty close to get fired because that the person above him feels the need to defend him. But you also don't wanna be like, "Well, I'm gonna fire JJ if they don't compete next year," because there might be extenuating circumstances that mean you might have planned to fire JJ if they don't compete next year, but you also don't wanna, like, you don't wanna air your dirty laundry in public necessarily, so I don't think that to me, that's a question that's not a softball question, that's just a bad question because unless the person you're talking to isn't good at their job, so maybe if we were in San Francisco and asking Buster Posey or, Vitello what they should be doing, you'd get an interesting answer to those questions. But John Sherman's not gonna give you an answer to those questions that means anything.
Yeah. Yeah, precisely. Um,
And so let me backtrack that a little bit and say,
okay.
I guess there's value in asking the question to say, "I asked." You know, all I can do is ask. I can't force him to answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things that I'm skeptical about that I see from a different point of view. My point of view is much different than John Sherman's, right?
Sure.
Talking about winning baseball games is the business.
Mhm.
Here's the thing. You go look at the Atlanta Braves, right? Thankfully, they're one of the few teams out there who put out their numbers, like their what they make, how they make it. They
Legally
put it out there
required to.
publicly. Yeah. But here's the thing. We have years of data now on the battery being open there outside of Truist Park. The reality is the Atlanta Braves at least make more money off of the battery than they do off of the baseball product.
I need to look at the numbers again because I remember looking at their 2025 report and thinking that the numbers didn't add up to me, but I don't
I'll
remember how or what I thought could have happened.
So there is I'm trying to pull it up right now because I want to give credit where credit is due. There is a account out there who does great data visualization because they draw it out and it's very, straight lines, everything like that. Very good data visualization. They had a whole video on the Truist Park versus the battery when it comes to the Braves. But I digress because right now, yeah, the Royals' source of income is Kauffman Stadium and Kauffman Stadium alone. The baseball product is their business, but they're already taking steps to where that is not their only business, and overall, that might not be the most profitable business in a decade or so. But that is way down the line. Said that something that really kind of stuck in my craw was overwhelming support from the community on the stadium stuff.
Did he miss the, zoning meeting that got shut down early because of the vocal protest chanting?
I guess so. And here's the most vocal I'm the most vocal on either side of any argument is going to kind of skew where the middle is perceived to be, if that makes sense. Maybe I am underestimating the support that is in the community, but right now I'm not seeing a whole lot of just overall numbers of folks saying, yes, yes, we want the stadium right here, and this is going to be a great thing for Kansas City. I'm seeing a lot of opposition to it. So this overwhelming support I have yet to see. It was also good to hear from Sherman a little bit on the labor negotiations. Of course, there's only so much he could say, but hey, we're bargaining every week, communicating more frequently. Everyone understands that the game is at a different spot now than it was 5 years ago. So, of course, he's not going to say, "Yeah, a lockout's coming, everyone." Like he's not going to say that. That's not good communication. But he didn't say anything that made me worried about it. So there is that. Also said like, hey, expansion is coming. Expansion is on the horizon. So that's something to keep in mind. And talked about the competitive balance a little bit. The more fans who have hope, the better for baseball. And hey, right now, a lot of fan bases have hope. I think as we sit here, still like at least 2/3 of the league has a legitimate shot of making the playoffs, which is a good spot to be at with these 3 wild card spots. But, the Royals aren't one of those teams right now. And so that's skewing my opinion of it a little bit. Any overall, it was kind of a half and half interview for me. I don't know. I don't feel any different about him as a person. I don't feel any different about the Royals after this. It's good to hear from Sherman but I don't know if it was a fruitful conversation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get the distinct impression, Jacob, and I have no evidence of this. So this is me looking at what I can see and inferring. So don't take this and be like, Jeremy says this is true and that he has it from 30,000 sources, because I
Yeah.
don't. This is all in my own head, okay? I get the distinct impression that John Sherman doesn't do interviews where he doesn't know what the questions are going to be.
Yeah. And let's pulling the curtain back a little bit. Whenever we have someone on the podcast, I usually send them some questions beforehand. Because whenever I go on a guest podcast, I like to know, hey, this is what I need to research ahead of time. These are some things I need to be prepared for and things like that. However, I always tell folks, hey, these are jumping points. Like, we're going to sit down and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about these things. And these are some conversation starters I might talk about, but it will go into some other avenues, some rabbit holes. And I don't think that that happened at all with Vern and Sherman.
When we send questions out, it's to give people an opportunity to organize their thoughts ahead of time. I think when John Sherman gets questions, it's to approve the question and to prepare a canned answer.
Right. Right. So
I'm not saying that that's a bad practice. If I was worth $1 billion and my words could cost people's jobs, livelihoods, if I misspoke, I might want to have final say over what questions I get asked and know exactly what my answer is going to be before I answer it. And I might not do live interviews. I might do canned interviews in order to try and protect myself and the people who work for me. So I'm not saying he's bad or evil for doing this. I'm just saying you're not going to get you're not going to get him the gotcha on
yeah,
John Sherman.
yeah,
So if you ever see an interview with John Sherman, I'm like, I wonder if they finally got him to admit blah. No, they didn't.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I'll drop the link. They have the whole conversation up on Odyssey between Vern and Sherman. I'll drop the link to that so everyone can out there can listen to it themselves and get their own opinions from it. I definitely, I'll talk to Max about it. I definitely think this is something that we should kind of poll the Royals Review community on, because I would love to hear what people think.
Maybe I'll make it the question of the week.
There you go.
But yeah, so I did want to real quick. The need ya that I was throwing out there earlier was a reference to the end of that interview when John Sherman's exiting and he's like, I'll listen to you on my way home. And Vern is thanking him. And I don't know which one of them said need ya to the other one,
Yeah.
but whoever said it to the other one, it was weird. And I don't believe them.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think John Sherman needs Josh Vernier, and I don't think Josh Vernier needs John Sherman. It was very goofy, and if you listen to the clip that Jacob linked me, which I'm sure is the one he's going to link everyone else, you could hear I think it's Stephen St. John and somebody else laughing about it as they have played this recording on their show.
Yeah, I'll have to. It was in the morning show. I'm blanking on who hosts the morning shows there on 96.5 The Fan. Everyone out there listening knows that we're out of the area. I can't just go hop in my car and pull it up on the FM or AM.
But it's ridiculously hard to listen to the radio online these days. It used to be easier.
Yeah, it used to be. I think Odyssey does some good things, but overall, I don't like the product, and I think it's
Yeah.
hurt accessibility at least.
That's
just my 2
used
cents.
to just go 8:10. I could just go straight to their website, open up an app, and I could play their radio live. Now, I couldn't listen to podcast recordings of shows, which is a thing you can do now, which is awesome. But now if I want to listen to it, I got to find the app. I got to find the thing. I got to do this stuff. And then I might have to listen to a bunch of ads before it actually takes me into the show. And it's obnoxious as heck. And I can't be bothered with it most of the time.
Completely understand. So, folks, like we said, go click the link down in the description below. Listen to it for yourself. Don't just take our word for it. We're summarizing this conversation and giving our 2 cents on it. We want you guys to listen to the thing straight from Vern and Sherman.
feel free to drop a comment about a takeaway that you have from that interview that we didn't address, because I'd love to hear some other perspectives on it. I know listening to a 30-minute interview that I picked one thing and I focused on that. And I listened to the whole thing, but I don't know how much I comprehended because I was really just thinking about that for the rest of the time. So I don't know what I missed. Let me know what I missed.
Yes, please do. Please do. All right, let's go ahead and shift back to the on-field product. So the Kansas City Royals did drop the series against the Chicago Cubs. They had a 3-3 homestand between the series and against Minnesota and Chicago. They're nearly like 500 across the board when it comes to at home. They're 29-30 at home now. They're 4-4-2 on their 10 homestands this season. So you have a coin flip chance of going out to Kauffman Stadium and seeing the Royals win, at least on any given night, it seems. Randy Dobnak, he finally kind of had that fall apart performance that I think was expected by baseball fans. Like, hey, this is a great story, but he can't keep this going forever, right?
Lima time
Right?
must end, even if it's
Yes.
Dobnak time.
Yes, exactly.
Lima time is not forever, sadly.
No, it is not. But overall, it was kind of a series that I was expecting. There's a lot of bad performances. Did you watch anything from Daniel Lynch's start?
I watched the whole thing.
Okay,
That was on my recap night.
Okay, there you go. So I want to talk about that specifically though. This
Let's
was
please
Daniel.
talk about that.
Yeah, this was Daniel Lynch's return to the rotation. The box score is ugly. It doesn't paint a very good picture. He didn't even last 2 innings. He got 5 outs. He cruised through those 5 outs. However, it all fell apart very, very quickly. Jeremy, when I go back and watch that, that's not like he wasn't allowing a lot of hard contact. Like it was a couple of singles that just went the right way. It was an errant throw by Michael Massey. David Lesky in his weekend recap, I think, pointed out a good thing. Like, hey, Jack was shaded over to the right too much, and that forced Daniel Lynch to have to cover first. And Michael Massey tossing at a moving target is hard enough, much less when you have a guy of the speed of Pete Crow Armstrong coming from home to first. I think there was some unluckiness there. However, there wasn't a lot of dominant stuff to take away from Lynch's outing against the Cubs. What were your takeaways from his performance?
So my takeaways were, all of you people have been saying, why can't Daniel Lynch pitch more than 1 inning? This is why. Now, maybe he gets better from here as he continues to stretch out and he turns back into a starter. I'm still on the record of saying I don't buy it. I'm also on the record of saying, what the heck? Why not? It's better than Rich Hill. If Daniel Lynch can start, it changes things for how next year looks, whether they trade him or keep him in the rotation or whatever. So fine, we're experimenting. We're trying something. But also, Daniel Lynch in the second inning doesn't look good. And I will say, yeah, it wasn't a lot of hard contact, but you also know what it wasn't? Swing and miss.
Yeah.
When you can't strike guys out, you live and die by the BABIP. And sometimes the BABIP don't like you.
Yep. Yeah.
I will also say, yes, Jack went too far to the right after that ground ball. But 2 points. First of all, every Royals first baseman in the history of my fandom goes too far right for the ground ball. Jack is not alone in that. Where Jack is alone is he can't get back to first after he does that, and others could. Not sure what's going on there. It's something he needs to work on, but it's something every Royals first baseman needs to work on. So I don't want to be like, well, Jack is the worst. I want to be like, why do Royals first basemen consistently do this? I feel like that must be a coaching issue. Let's get that cleaned up.
Yes, please.
I will also say that I'm not convinced that PCA is out if Jack goes straight to first base because he's fast. And that was a hard ground ball to get to.
Yes, it was.
And if Pete isn't out, then the rest of those hits all still happen. Bunch of runs still score. So that was not a good appearance from Dan. The first inning looked really good to me. The second inning was a disaster. He looks to me like the same guy who he looked like when he was starting in 24. Was it the beginning of last year he was starting some?
No, it was 24. Yeah.
Yeah. And he ended 24 in the bullpen, and then he was in the bullpen all last year, except for a couple opener appearances. He just looks like a guy who should get more swing and miss, but doesn't. And then these BABIP things happen to him.
Yeah. I will say though. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I'm not I'm not any higher on him as a starter than I was before.
I'm gonna steal another one from Lesky here because I think his word uninspiring was the best way to describe Lynch's outing. But again, Royals need innings right now, so I doubt this is the last we're gonna see of Daniel Lynch the fourth. I imagine we will see him against the Los Angeles Dodgers on this West Coast road trip. Jeremy, you and I hate these road trips. We got 3 straight nights of 10-10 starts in
I'll
our
be
in
in
our
bed.
East Coast. Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, I'll toss on the pregame show while I'm laying down in bed. How's that sound?
This is why I don't do the recaps for the weeknight games, because my old body with a day job can't handle that. Y'all wanna fund this podcast so that I can quit my day job? First of all, you're gonna have to find like 1,000 of your closest friends each, I think,
Yes, please.
which I'm not gonna you do that, I'll appreciate you. I appreciate you
Yes.
anyway, let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as long as I have to have a day job, I can't stay up till 1 in the morning. Now, if I didn't have a day job, I am a night owl. So you get me the money, you show me the money, as Omar Gooding Jr. would say. Is it Omar Gooding Jr.? I don't remember what his name is now.
I know it from Jerry Maguire. What do
Yeah,
you?
it's Jerry Maguire, the actor who plays the wide receiver who tells Jerry Maguire, "Show me the money."
Oh, yeah.
Is it
I think
Cuba Gooding
that's.
Jr.? Cuba
I
Gooding Jr.
I have not seen that movie in years, man.
I
I haven't
haven't
seen
seen
that.
it in years either.
It's been a minute. I can't tell you one way or another.
But y'all show
Before
me
we
the
get
money,
to
I will stay up and you will get so much baseball from me. I will with you did the daily post-game podcast for a minute there, Jacob. I'll bring
man,
them back. You wanna
yeah.
pay me, make this my job, I'll do it.
Hey, listen,
I
I'll
will suffer through 110 losses for you if you
yeah.
pay me.
Hey, listen, here's the thing. My day job ends November 20th. Okay. After that, I'm unemployed, baby. So I might next season might look a little different here at the Royals podcast, depending on how my
Yeah,
job
yeah.
search goes. Yeah, but we're talking about Jack and like this one fielding thing. I will say he powered the Royals to a victory on Saturday, though. Had an absolute stellar performance there. Had 2 home runs and 2 doubles in the same game. The first Royals player to ever have that performance in franchise history. And I think the first player in MLB this season to do that as well. Also became, with his 20 home runs after that game, the first primary outfielder since Alex Gordon back in 2013 to have at least 20 home runs. So kudos to Jack. He has
There
really
is,
turned it on. It's, yeah, that was a double edged fact right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but, Jacob, I watched all of Saturday night's game because it was my recap day, but I compromised with my mom because she wanted to watch the series finale of Fubar, and the only time she could make to do that was Saturday night during the game, and I was like, "Fine, I'll watch the game on my phone while we watch Fubar."
There you go. Very
And
kind of you.
I'm gonna say this is not my Royals review, but Fubar season 2 is bad. You've heard of
I've heard good
jumping the
things.
shark?
Yep.
They jumped the shark at least 6 times.
No.
And it wasn't good to begin with, unlike Happy Days.
Yeah. Happy
So,
Days
yeah.
had a height.
But so I'm watching a pig drive a car through a wall to save a spy, and also I'm staring at my phone and watching Jack hit one, and I go, "Well, that's a home run." And then I see the center fielder drifting back, and I'm like, "Is it not a home run? I thought that was way out of here." And no, it is way out of here. Tyrone Taylor just hates me.
Wanted to get that blood pumping a little bit here.
And then double, double, another home run. And I'm just like, why am I watching a Fubar when I could be watching a Jack?
Yep. Don't worry. That highlight reel from Saturday was plenty packed.
Yeah, I don't worry. I watched the highlights a few times.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, he with that second home run, he raised his average home run distance to 418 feet this season, the
Still
longest
leads MLB.
average. Yep, longest average in MLB, which is absolutely crazy. What another guy that I want to point out, Bobby Witt Jr. making his return from the injured list, and he's been looking pretty good. He's played in every single game over this homestand, all 6 games. At a 156 WRC plus in that span. He's walking more than he's striking out. He's letting the speed do some things for him. Scoring like he looks like Bobby again, and he didn't there for a good little bit of July. So
It's
I'm
wonder
glad.
how long he was hurt before he went on the IL.
Hey man, we know how back things can just really hinder you. A couple of 3-hit performances in that Twins series as well. So good on Bobby.
Need him to go on a homer binge if he wants to wrest the MVP award out of the hands of Kevin McGonigal.
Yeah, that is. I don't know if I don't know how strong of an MVP case Bobby has right now. Very much should be in the
Better than
Gold Glove
Aaron Judge's,
conversation.
better than Cal Raleigh's.
Yeah, better than both of
Those were
them.
the guys we were worried about entering the year.
Yep. Right now, he is still 7 home runs shy of getting another 20-30 season. So that is, I think that's going to be the thing I'm watching for, those home runs, and he get across that threshold once again. But kudos to Bobby on making a good run back at it on in the lineup. One guy whose run on the 26-man roster came to an end today is Easton McGee. After his blow-up performance against the Cubs, he really wore that outing on his sleeve, but he was demoted back to Omaha to make way for the newest Kansas City Royals arm, the new young face to join the franchise, one and only 38-year-old Craig Kimbrell,
So
the the Pelican himself.
this is when I go back to John Sherman. I'm like, John, you said that JJ was trying to get a head start on building your bullpen for next year. What does Craig Kimbrell have to do with anything?
Hopefully
Because here's the
nothing.
thing about Craig Kimbrell is he's probably better than any of the options they have in Omaha right now, even the young ones. He's definitely better than the old ones. He's better than Scott Barlow, better than Scott Alexander, et cetera, et cetera. But he's probably better than the young ones. But if you don't he's not going to pitch for the Royals next year. It's just not happening. And if he is, you didn't fix your bullpen. But you said he was trying to fix your bullpen already, and he's added a bunch of pitchers, but they're not pitching in Kansas City. They're pitching in Omaha. And pitching in Omaha can only tell you so much.
That is true. That is true. Kimbrel, or excuse me, I'm looking at Topa's numbers. Excuse me. Listen, Kimbrel has pitched for 9 different franchises at the major league level over the past 6 years. Right? He is pretty
Doesn't have a save
far,
since 24.
which is wild to think about when you look at it. Like he has 440 career saves. Holy smokes! But he was just stacking them up from the word go for the Braves. Like that is when I think of Craig Kimbrel, it is his Braves run. But that was, more than 10 years ago now. That was before the Royals won a World Series. So all that being said, bro, I think he's one of those perfectly fine guys to bring in at this point of the season. You need relievers. Let's cobble this together. I'm stealing that from Sherman there. Let's keep cobbling it together. Let's see what he can provide down the stretch. But you're not going to look at Kimbrel going into his age 39 season in 2026 and hoping that he is pitching competitive innings for the Kansas City Royals. All the numbers across the board, this is the steady age decline. That's okay. It happens.
Kimbrel would have been a great guy to sign at the start of the year and try to flip at the deadline when things didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That is
And
true.
he makes no sense to sign after the deadline.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
you don't need to win, you don't need him to help you win games. You're not you're not hoping he gives you something next year. If he pitches next year, it's probably for another team.
Mhm.
In a vacuum, I don't hate the signing. I thought the Royals would go after him before the Rays got him. But I I don't understand it either.
He also doesn't have a win since 24, which
Wow.
is crazy to think of.
He's just out there pitching, not winning games, not saving games, just pitching.
Yeah.
Just pitching.
Hey,
Pitching in anonymity and arms.
he's still getting paid. He's still making
Yeah.
money.
People are like, "Why would he do this?" I'm like, "'Cause he wants some money, man."
Yeah, precisely.
I was listening to, what's it called? The Kaufman Corner, and they were like, "Why would he even sign with the Royals?" And my thought was, "'Cause the Royals offered him a major league contract." Like, I thought they offered him a minor league contract. That's what made sense to me. No, they gave him a major league deal. They said, "Yeah, you come get on the 26-man roster." How many other teams offered him a 26-man spot, do you think?
Probably
Can't
not
have been
many.
many.
No, can't have been. Can't have been very many. One, so you put out the news. We saw the news that was official, right? And it also coincided with earlier today, the Royals released another veteran reliever, Justin Topa, who I get it. Folks point to the ERA. He had a sub-1 ERA there in Omaha. I was like, wow, why didn't we bring him up? Well, number one, he's also another old reliever. I think he's in his age 35 season right now. He didn't have it for the Twins earlier on this season. And even though he had that sub-1 ERA, wasn't striking a ton of guys out. He was still walking a bunch of guys. His FIP was at 4.75. That is a canyon. That is a canyon of difference between this is what the number you should be at just off of your skill, and this is the number you are at. That's just some of the reality of when you're looking at who should and shouldn't be in the bullpen. But I wanted to bring that up because I know folks are wondering, why didn't you call him up instead of adding Kimbrel? Well,
Why didn't you call up Duran? Why didn't you call up Hoffman? Why didn't you call up Little? They don't have a lefty in the bullpen still.
no,
They
they
might
still
make
don't.
another move before tonight's game, but are they playing tonight? I don't remember.
Yeah, they are playing tonight at 10:10.
They could still make another move, but you don't want a lefty in your bullpen to face the team that has Ohtani and Freddie Freeman?
Yeah, I don't understand the idea behind that either, truth be told.
Like,
Shoot.
I feel like a lefty would be a nice thing, and I'm not saying bring back Matt Strahm or Aaron Bummer, please.
Someone else, please.
I kinda wanna see Luke Little just because his name is Little and he's 6'8", and that amuses me.
Yes.
That's the only reason. I know that's not a good reason, but that's what I want right now.
It's a
Can I just have a big guy named Little? Pretty please.
just for the heck of
I
it.
just throw me a bone, Kansas City.
Please, if you're gonna be bad, at least be interesting, right? Like that's we've been through those seasons with the Royals. If you're gonna be bad, at least be fun to watch. At least have some things that we can make joke about.
One thing we forgot to mention in the Cubs series is that Nate Pearson got his first save as a Royal.
Yes, on the 8th. That was
It was interesting to
yeah.
see Steven Cruz pitch the 8th inning in that game, and my dad wondered why, and I theorized that it was because the middle of the order was due up that inning and the bottom of the order was due up in the ninth. But, Lesky also had a theory that excuse me, brain, turn on. He also had a theory that Cruz had warmed up to try and back up Schreiber in the 7th, and that possibly because he was already hot, well, let's just bring him in. And I would guess if you asked Matt Quatraro, it would be a little of both. Yeah, it was Nate Pearson did a pretty credible job, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too, and that was something that we talked about on the last episode before the Cubs series kicked off. It's like, hey, you got these guys. You're going to be wondering why the heck is Nate Pearson coming out for the save? Well, you want to see if he can step up into this role for 2027. He's still under team control. You like some of the raw tools. You know what needs to be improved for him to be a viable MLB reliever. Can you improve it? And I think that we've seen a little bit of his evolution with the Royals. That pitch arsenal is coming back. It's spreading back out a little bit. The curveball is not performing better, but he's throwing it more. He's throwing it more for strikes, and like he's getting a little bit more deception. So let's wait and see with Pearson. But I like what his trajectory is saying.
I
And yeah,
have been a big Pearson fan since they put a card for him in MLB The Show last year, so I would really like that to work out.
also, one other thing on Steven Cruz that since I'm looking at his movement chart right now. Hey guys, he's still got that elite fastball velocity coming up there at the top of the zone, but that cutter and slider is really what's been working for him. And he also dropped that arm angle. We talked about that with arm angles and the Kansas City Royals. He dropped it a full 5 degrees from 2025 to 2026. That is a notable change. So we'll see what he has there. Let's move on down to the farm real quick, Jeremy. Let's go ahead. I want to talk about first the 6th overall pick from 2026, Zion Rose. He is currently assigned to High A Quad Cities. He got some of his firsts, so congratulations to Rose. First professional hit on the 7th, but he did so in emphatic fashion. He got 2 hits that game, scored 2 runs, swiped 4 bases. You heard that right? 4 bases for the River Bandits, and followed it up with another so-so performance for the River Bandits on Sunday. Overall, he's flashing all the tools that we expected, right? We were watching the first sample of Jack Caglione back in 2024, and it was just like, this still looking a little rough. There's some polishing to do here. Like, no, Rose is doing what we expected him to do so far for the River Bandits. Just want to see him do it for more than 3 games.
I'm impressed that the moment does not seem too big for him. He was hitless in his first game, but the first at bat he took, he crushed a ball to center field and it died. And he ended up with a flyout, and he struck out a couple times. That'll happen. But yeah, he's got a couple of hits, bunch of stolen bases, stole third once. He's listed as a center fielder, but he's only played left field so far. He's been batting second ahead of Blake Mitchell. Just we're really diving deep into a guy who's got 3 professional games under his belt or something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
but no red flags, at least.
No. Exactly. And meanwhile, another new addition to the Royals franchise, who was oddly enough, when Sherman was talking to Vern, Sherman brought up Lucas Braun as like a bullpen guy. It's not how I anticipate him being deployed at all, but I digress. After we recorded on Friday, Braun got his first start for the Omaha Storm Chasers, tossing a quality start, but doing much more like what we kind of anticipated from his profile. Multiple hits, only 3 strikeouts, only 1 walk, a lot of balls in play, but thankfully the Storm Chasers gobbled up those pitches behind him. So kudos to him for getting it done, starting off on the right foot for the Storm Chasers. Any takeaways from you there, Jeremy?
Yeah, no, I mean, Lucas Braun looked very Lucas Braun-ish. I know some people out there are going, well, people didn't think much of Ryan Bergert and Stephen Kolek when the Royals got them, and look how they've pitched. And my answer is, no, I did think. I looked at their numbers, I looked at their stuff, and I said, there might be something here that is there to be unlocked. When I look at Lucas Braun, and I'm not a pitching guru. Come on, if I knew everything, I wouldn't be doing this podcast probably. Some team would have snapped me up to tell them, yeah, that pitcher's good, that one's not. But when I look at Lucas Braun, I don't see those things.
Right. Yeah. It's not, unless something drastic happens. There's not a ceiling to be realized for Lucas Braun. He's going to be a perfectly fine 6th or 7th guy, hopefully, for your rotational depth.
Maybe the Royals tweak something with him and suddenly he starts getting swing and miss.
Maybe.
Then we can have a conversation. But he didn't have it in that first start, which he wouldn't. But
Yeah. Yeah. Another newcomer that I do want to I know if we're starting to see the taste, see some of the returns on some of these trade deadline acquisitions. Jacob Berry came over from the Marlins organization, has absolutely been red hot for the Storm Chasers in his first 3 games. 1 for 1 on walking and striking out, slugging 1,000 WRC plus of 282. He had that breakout performance on Sunday where he had 2 doubles, 3 hits in total. He got his first, I think his first hit. It was either his first or his second hit for Omaha was a home run. So he's a guy that I hope we see in Kansas City, maybe when rosters expand in September. But he's looking like, hey, I at least deserve a shot at helping a big league club, and I can see his path to do so in Kansas City.
yeah, I would like to see Duran, I would like to see Hoffman, I would like to see Little in the big leagues. I would also like to see Lugo, that's Matthew Lugo, Gavin Cross, and Jacob Berry in the big leagues. Not because I think any of them are good, but because you can't find a Brent Rooker if you don't play him.
Yep, there you go. That's that's a good way to put it.
The reason Brent Rooker broke out with the Athletics is because he played when he was with the Athletics. Now, maybe he doesn't break out with the Royals if he plays with the Royals, but he never had a chance to.
Yeah, precisely. Duran, you're talking about him. Hey, he hasn't allowed a run yet for Omaha. A couple of strikeouts, only faced 7 batters. So we'll see how that progresses. But so far, so good for him as well. If there's any guys out there you think we should be talking about down on the farm, please bring them up. There's a lot of guys who are doing good things. Josh Hammond is really he's Mr. Consistent, right? Like Sean Gamble, like he's doing great right now, but he's kind of got a 2 seasons thing going on right now. Blake Mitchell, we already know his profile. He's doing really good in home run production. However, still a 3 true outcome guy right now.
Well, he's getting some more non-home run hits and striking out a little bit less.
Yeah, I just would love to see it in a full
I would
season, you
love to
know?
see it double A. Lesky did have a theory that maybe the Royals aren't promoting guys because they don't wanna risk steps backward before they try and trade a bunch of them.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens. I struggle. I struggle to believe the Royals are going to be able to put in the I struggle to believe that the Royals are willing to put in the effort to actually build a competitive team for next year. And then I really struggle to believe they'll be successful because that's just so many pieces to add in a single offseason.
It is a lot of pieces.
I really quick want to shout out Blake Walters. I think he got pitcher of the week in the Quad Cities. He pitched a really nice game that the River Bandits ended up losing, but he was fantastic. Struck out 10 and gave up 2 hits in 6 innings. You know, maybe Blake Walters isn't done as a prospect.
Maybe not. Maybe not. He is, and also like Henry Williams, like that. I know that's a guy who I've seen brought up on RoyalsReview.com a couple of times. Has not looked like a AAA pitcher for the most part, but his most recent start was a hey, maybe he's turning a corner here. We'll see what happens there. Also want to shout out all the Baseball America Top 100 update came out, and the Royals surged in that 3 top 60 prospects according to Baseball America, led by none other than Kendry Churio at 33rd overall. That is not a surprise. He won July's Midwest Pitcher of the Month there for High A Quad City, so kudos to him. And Heibel Gomez is another one, and then Josh Hammond coming in at 60, I believe it was. But yeah,
I
that's Royals
and Heidel
representation.
Gomez hasn't made it to the complex leagues, has he? He's
No,
just been in the DSL,
correct.
and he's getting top 100 buzz
Yeah,
as an 18-year-old in the DSL. And it's not just Baseball America. Was it? I think it was Fangraphs had him in their top 100.
yeah, he's at 86.
That's you guys. We all better get excited for him. And they've got another guy who they signed
What
this year. Who's
Wadier Suarez, I think is how you say his name.
yeah, his stats are just as good as Gomez's. I don't know. He's not getting the prospect hype, so maybe don't fall in love with him just yet. But maybe Royals got something going.
Maybe so. Maybe so. In the month of August, Gomez is slashing 368, 458, 421. And how many stolen bases? Like he is very much he's a very productive DSL hitter, right? Like, oh, 13 stolen bases isn't that impressive. 6 home runs isn't that impressive. But for that level, it's really good. Those are really good counting stats, and overall a 145 WRC plus at that level shows, hey, amongst his peers, he is standing head and shoulders above most of them. If like I said, there's a guy on the farm who wants to talk about, he's bring them up. Shout out Luke Pelzer. Hey, I don't know if we're going to see him promoted soon, but he's doing good things down there on the farm as well.
I've been trying to watch some more minor league games because I just can't make myself watch the Royals very much right now. So yeah, tell me who I should be watching.
There you go. Please do. Please do. And you can do that up on royalsreview.com or down in the comment section on Spotify. All right, Jeremy, you got a review for us today?
I think I do. I'm trying to
All right.
remember. I thought there was maybe one more thing I wanted to talk about before we got to reviews, but I can't think of what it might have been.
Nothing that I can think of.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to talk about Jack, and we talked about Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, that we did. Great stuff from
Jack,
Caglio.
Jack, Jack. Give me more Jack.
Jack Wagon.
Jump on the Jack wagon.
I don't think
I
there's
am.
any room left.
That was. I did want to look up because I know he's. If you look at his numbers since June, they're pretty good. But I feel like if you look at his July numbers, they're bad. He's having a really good August and a really good
Yeah.
June, and not a great July. And it's just like, what's the deal, bud? You're gonna be alternating.
Hey, then let's ride this hot August as long as we can, right?
He had a 184 WRC plus in June, 62 in July, 238 in August.
Gotcha.
July could be the last month that was bad in your entire career. Let's go.
In your entire career. That is wild, but very, very true. All right. Did we delay enough for a review from you there, Jeremy?
I've had a review. I've got 2 reviews locked and loaded. I'll only give you
Well,
1, but I've got 2.
let's hear one.
All right, so last time I offered you the choice between an open world Western RPG and a roguelite, and you chose Ghost of Yote, the open world RPG.
Yep.
So this time I will give you the roguelite, Hades 2. Much like Ghost of Yote. The story is not quite as strong, but the gameplay is refined. The one big complaint I have is that I felt like the romances in Hades 2 were not as good, and that the main story wrapped up a little too prettily, for a little too easily, a little too quickly, a little too prettily for all the drama that led up to it. But it's still a really good game. Like, if I wasn't comparing it to Hades, I would really I would say it was a great game. Compared to Hades, it's a really good game. So I will sit here and I'll recommend it, and it's a worthy successor. And if we ever get a Hades 3, which I'm not holding my breath on, I feel like Supergiant probably doesn't want to just do Hades. They like to kind of do a bunch of different weird things. But if we ever get one, I think it could go off, just based on, like, take what worked from 1, take what worked from 2, and put it together. Uh, it doesn't always happen. Kingdom Hearts 3 was not as good as Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but it is what it is. So that's my review for this time. Next time, I'll tell you about Pluribus.
Well, there you go. I like that. My review today is over a YouTube channel. It's not a young YouTube channel, but really started posting this calendar year. So I think folks need to get on it. It's called I Like Numbers. All about baseball numbers. And I just watched his most recent video talking about building a better pitcher WAR. We still talk a lot about FWAR versus BWAR, and just how that singular stat maybe should or shouldn't tell the story of baseball players. And I just really like the analytical process. A lot of the data visualization is really good. Very, very like small YouTube channel right now. 6.2 thousand subscribers right now. And I just think, hey, if you want to learn a little bit more about some of these nuanced baseball things, I think that this is a good person who accessibly introduces a lot of these things. Like talks about Sierra in that most recent video and incorporates it into his WAR. And it's just like, hey, that makes total sense. Why are we already doing this? So go check out I Like Numbers.
Can't believe
I'll
no
link
one
it
is
down
using
below.
Sierra. That's wild.
Exactly. And it's
'Cause
one of those things.
Sierra's KBIB, and KBIB is the most predictive pitching stat, as far as I've been able to determine.
Right. Right.
K minus BB percentage, for those of you who don't know what KBIB is.
Nah, it's always KBIB. We did KBIB. All right, KBIB.
I wanna shout it out so that anybody who's picking us up hasn't listened before, they know what
I
the heck
know.
KBIB is.
I
I'm
know.
just trying to be newbie friendly, Jacob.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I don't
I
know what
do
that voice
appreciate that.
was.
I don't know what it was either, but I'll take it for our outro. That is going to do it for today's episode of the Royals Rundown podcast. We appreciate y'all listening along with us. The things that we referenced, the YouTube videos, the interview, it's going to be down in the podcast description below. So please go and check it out and make your own determination. If you want to engage with us on social media, our links are there as well. But most importantly, just keep the conversation going. Been seeing some new faces over on Spotify, so thank you for jumping in. Jeremy, thank you for keeping that chat going there. And as always, feed the feed on royalsreview.com. I think a lot of people are taken to that as well and using that as a sounding board rather than just the discussion threads. But that's a good spot to do it as well.
Jacob, I like to admit when I'm wrong, and the feed is actually, I thought it was going to be kind of pointless and dumb because it's a social media feed that you can only access, like, it's not broad access social media feed. It's a very focused social media feed. And I thought that without the ability to speak to a broad audience wouldn't, but people are on there, they're posting, they're having a good time. I've posted some more over there. I even feed the feed from time to time.
Hey,
It turns out that it doesn't suck.
there you go.
So I may have been mistaken. It may be that the feed is actually all right.
It might just be all right, but it is you, the listeners, you, the royalsreview.com users who make it great. I am Jacob Milham. There, Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, go Royals.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.